stay. My name is Mike Alm, Chief of Staff for the Governor. Obviously, it was a last-minute decision. He's actually under the weather. He wanted to come. But the decision was made this morning. He just can't physically make it. So I'm here and want to, first of all, congratulate you all for such a good turnout today. Basically, we are here to celebrate or announce that there has been a deal arranged. You'll hear a whole lot more about it in dealing with the Maryland Transit Authority. Negotiations are ongoing to make this a long-term arrangement, but there's been some short-term, as you know, funding that's been provided by the governor, the legislature, and the auditor, and different ones. We'll be up here to talk in just a few minutes. It's you know, I've just got several names. I've written them down that we want to thank. Obviously, you're one of the few, or maybe the only two counties that have a council rather than a county commission, as the rest of us call it. But we want to give, the governor wants to definitely thank the councils of Berkeley and Jefferson County for stepping forward and helping with this, and all the local governments that, you know, I've got a long list here. I don't want to miss anybody, but, you know, we've got Shepherdstown, and I think, I can't even read my Harper's Ferry. I think I'm told that this is pronounced Bolivar. Did I get that right? Or is it Bolivar?
Actually, it's pronounced Bolivar.
Bolivar? Okay. Well, it's all right.
It's
Sorry.
a mispronunciation, but that's what we do.
Martinsburg, Jefferson County, I've already mentioned that. And the Vice President, Dan Dulyea, is that how I say his name? Understand that he's going to speak in a little bit, and he's been a real spark plug in all this. So anyway, the governor himself wants to say that he's made a commitment to, as we move forward, to have the state's budget participate in whatever may be needed to fill the gap after the negotiations. Obviously, the local governments up here have stepped forward. The governor recognizes, without a doubt, and I absolutely concur with him, having been up here a few times, that this train service is actually vital to your economy here. And we actually have been told by our economic development people that there's actually one business who's choosing to locate here, and that was the existence of this train was an important part of their decision. And it was my experience. It was my opportunity about a month and a half ago to be in Washington at a large infrastructure meeting, infrastructure issues around the United States. And one of the things that came through very loud and clear in areas like New York and Washington, D.C., which you're near, is that as traffic gets more burdensome, that for economic purposes in the future, we'll have to look at rail or these types of alternative services. So they're very important, as many of you I know have argued over the years, and I've obviously been around this issue for a while, that even the government participating in some of the costs of this, that we actually accrue a benefit to it. So that we recognize that the Eastern Panhandle is one of the strongest economic engines in our state, so we want to continue to make it that way. The governor, obviously you're way up here and Charleston's way down there, but you're in our view, and I know that he really wanted to be here today, and as soon as he can, for those of you who are going to have meetings with him or want to talk to him directly, he's going to honor those. It'll just, you know, give us like 2 or 3 weeks, and he'll find his way up here once he's able to do that. So without further ado, I've got other folks that want to talk. Oh, I didn't mention all the delegates and senators that are here. I've known a lot of them for a long time, you know, making sure I've got the list. I've got my good friend and Senate Finance Chairman, Senator Blair, who will be coming up in just a second. Then we got Senator Rucker, who's not here today, but she wanted me to make it a point that she wanted to be here. She's actually in Charleston. There's a very important rules committee that she's on that actually, I think, Craig, didn't they have to delay and have an extra day's meeting or something? And that's why she couldn't make it up here. We've got, is Eric Householder here? I don't know if I saw him or not, but Delegate Barrett's here. We've got Darrell Cole here, John Doyle here. And then you're going to hear from the state auditor. Where is he? He's here somewhere. Well, there he is over there. He's on my right. He's a right winger today. He's over there. He'll be speaking to you, and he stepped up with some funding from his office So that's why we've got him here. But again, we do love the Eastern Panhandle. The governor loves it. He's, if you've studied out some of the policies of his administration, he's focused up here. He's interested in what happens, and will be up here as soon as he can be to meet with several of you. And I know I just met with one of the mayors who wants to talk to him directly. So we want to honor all those commitments. Without further ado, I'm going to hand this microphone over to Craig Blair. After that, it'll be Delegate Jason Barrett, and then the Auditor, and then Mr. Dan Dulyea, and then I'll come back up just to have the closing remarks. But I'm going to ask all those people, if you've got that order in mind, just pass the microphone to the next one. So here you go, Craig.
Thank you, Mike. It's sort of odd that I'm behind this podium right now because I've been the bad cop through this whole thing, and I think almost everybody in this room knows that. And the reason for it is that when you're the finance chairman for the state of West Virginia and the Senate, you got to look out for the entire state. Okay, we've been negotiating back and forth, and I'd like to tip my hat to Jason Barrett because we've worked very, very well together on trying to get this across the finish line. The governor has taken the money from the contingency fund. The legislature put 1.2 million in. The governor put 1.1. JB is going to come up and talk about 750,000 he put in. The $300,000 that came from the counties and the municipalities. I guess the most important thing that I need to do is say that this isn't over. If this is going to be a long-term thing, we understand that this took place in the middle of your budget year and asking it, but now you know. We have to have the counties and the communities' participation, the municipalities' participation. And it'll probably end up having to be a greater participation into the future. I can't stress this enough because it's a tough lift to be able to put it in the budget. As my former finance chairman, this is the finance chairman before me, and the Senate will attest, he understands that what that lift is to be able to get that done. So I'm asking, because all of you are sitting in here, this is a great celebration. Make no mistake about it. I love the train. Got to be able to afford it and what's going on. And I know that you're sitting here saying, well, there's economic impacts that come from it. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right on that. But downstream in Maryland, the communities participate as well. With that said, we need to increase ridership. So if there's any riders in here, which there's probably not, but there's people probably, really?
Yeah.
Okay, because normally the riders are already using the train for the day or whatever, but.
Absolutely.
Good, I'm glad you're here. We need to get the word out to get the ridership up. And we're looking at, when I talked to the governor's office, on being able to waive the surcharge when we're putting this money in.
That would help.
And there's going to be eyes watching that. If the surcharge is lifted, then the riders that were going over to Brunswick and picking up should stay home. We need to see these numbers increase to be able to justify to the legislature if we're going to put this in the budget long term. Now, we're going to live out of the contingency fund and things like that, and with JB's help, and by the way, JB, you helped last year to the tune of $1.5 million, for that matter, and Jason and I worked with JB to be able to get that accomplished, as well as, oh my God.
Delegate Moore.
Yes. Delegate Moore. I get number blocks on names sometimes. So, everybody should be willing to celebrate what we got here. And I hope that it continues on and the ridership grows and that this service is utilized so that it makes it an easy sell in the legislature on how important this is to the east, not just the Eastern Panhandle, but to the state of West Virginia. The rest of West Virginia is looking at us here in the Eastern Panhandle, how we behave, how we operate, and actually, they're wishing they had our prosperity. And things are getting better, not just here, but in the entire state of West Virginia. And it's due to the leadership of the governor and his staff, and everybody knows I get into it with the governor from time to time. But the people that he puts, and the secretaries and the commissioners, and people like Mike, the chief of staff, these people go above and beyond the call of duty to get the job done. It's one of the things he's the very best at, is choosing the best and most talented people to be able to get the job done across the board. With that said, I'm not going to say any more, but there ought to be any of us that can get the opportunity to ride that train. We should be doing it, and I'd look forward to being able to get it running on the weekends. And I'd also like to see it go all the way to Morgan County so that we can pick up Western Maryland, which the state of Maryland ought to be trying to do that to start with. You pick up Morgan County and you get Pennsylvania as well. That helps with the ridership as well. This is sometimes about business as well. So, but these negotiations are taking in place. I'm going to say one last thing too. We want to see the numbers from Maryland on what the true cost of the train is. That is important as well when we're making our decisions on what goes forward. The more data, the more transparent that it is, the more likely it is that we're able to get things across the finish line and put it into the budget on a long-term basis so that we don't have to live from the year to year that we've been doing here. So thank you. Jason, I'm supposed to hand the mic to you. I want to thank you for the work that you've done. You've been phenomenal with it. Thanks, man.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Senator Blair, for those kind words. It's been really a team effort all across the board, working to get to this day. And Senator Blair is right. It is a day to celebrate. It is a day that where we can come and tell you that we're going to have a long-term agreement in place. And I first want to start by thanking Governor Justice and his staff. I've spent numerous phone calls with Berkeley Bentley, with Secretary Byrd